final step to all this, which isn't really a step because it blends and molds into all of these, is rest and recovery. Now again, there is no set, you should be resting 3 days a week, you should be stretching 3 days a week or 4 days a week. There is no set guidelines on, or set parameters on that. There are just guidelines. Now, with regards to early on, if you've got a weak lower back, early on you'll probably need a bit more recovery because your body is adapting to new stimulus. So it will need time to adapt, time to recover first and then adapt. So you may need to be doing recovery or rest sort of more often, if you will. What that can include: foam rolling, stretching, massage. Again, in the 12-week program, there is stretching built into it, so there is an element of recovery. But for some people, that may not be enough. There may need to be more. You may need to do additional stretching sessions. You may need to go for a massage, because if you are stimulating and activating the posterior parts of the body, then they may need that additional recovery. And what I'm going to say, what a lot of people call a weak lower back, I'm going to say is a fatigued lower back. So what a fatigued lower back does is it locks tight, because that's one way of the body overriding the necessity to keep contracting throughout the day. Because if that mechanism, or if the muscle gets fatigued because it's constantly doing that, it will just lock up, and I'll just hold it tight all the time so I don't have to worry about it anymore. So it's just locked up, and it's as it is. And that's the mechanism of what is described as a weak back. It's just a fatigued one that's locked up. So a massage could release that. Stretching of the hips could help relax that. Foam rolling of the upper back and the longissimus and the iliocostalis could start to relax that. So what we need to be able to do is allow that relaxation to happen and allow the ability of those muscles to recover. Because if you just keep loading activation on top of tight muscles, then eventually they're just going to keep getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and your back is always going to be fatigued, and it's always going to feel weak, if you will. So what we have to do is we have to address that as well, but we need to do it in the early stages when the load isn't as high, because if we don't address it early and we start doing strength training, then we're building our strength on a crumbling foundation, or a shaky foundation, or a not so strong foundation. So we have to be building that in adequately in a way that is done properly. So as a general rule, you would start off with a lot of recovery to start with, and then as the back starts to recover and starts to mend, let's say, and as you start working up through into strength training, you may need to start doing less of it, you may need to start doing more of it. That is, again, the art of being able to understand your body and how it's functioning. So trying to think of ways in which, or trying to think about how your body is feeling during the workout, immediately after the workout, and up to 48 hours after a workout. If we can start to do that, we can start to go from working, say, 3 times a week, or working out 3 times a week with recovery, to working out 4 times a week with recovery, to working out 5 times a week with recovery. But at each of these stages, during the core and the mobility, that's when the recovery is most important, because that's when we need to relax off a tight lower back or a fatigued lower back, and then start building in the ability for the muscles to be strong, to be stable, to fire at the right time, and then to maintain that over a period of time, because that's the only way you're going to do it. Is you've got to get that fatigue out of the way and put in its place the strength, the stability, and the endurance. So that is a